Hello, welcome to View from Bio, a special coverage of Bio 2014 in San Diego. My name is Michal Kaczmarski and I'm Americas and Europe editor at FDA Magazine. I'm joined now by Eliot Forster, head of Medcity, a new initiative launched by London Mayor Boris Johnson in April. Hello, Mr. Forster.
Hello, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. And could you please tell us a little bit more about what Medcity really is?
Yeah, sure. So Medcity is a consortium which runs from Oxford in the west through London to Cambridge in the east, designed to drive the southeastern economy through life sciences and the life sciences activity that exists in that region. Life sciences, by our definition, being biotech, pharma, medtech, and health technology and digital health technologies in that sector.
Sure. Now, if I understand well, this is the so-called Golden Triangle?
The very same, the Golden
Yes.
Triangle, exactly.
So this is actually a place which receives quite a share of biotech investments already. Why do you need another initiative?
Well, I think on a national scale, that's probably true if we're speaking about the UK on its own. But of course, life sciences is a international industry. The competition for investment, the competition for ideas is international, and so we need to be thinking on that scale, and that's why we believe Medcity is important in order to compete with places like Boston, San Francisco, Singapore, and other areas in which life sciences is critical to their economy.
Is Medcity focusing on just promoting Golden Triangle, or is it focusing also on facilitating investments and helping companies relocate?
Yes, it's both of those. Already within this Golden Triangle area are enormous resources, some fantastic universities, the NHS and millions of patients, clearly a lot of companies located there already, but major charities. The Crick will soon be in London, opening up in just the Crick Institute for Life Science Research will be opening up in the St Pancras area in a year and a bit from now. So there are enormous numbers of activities going on. Medcity's idea is to help coordinate and navigate people who may be wishing to make new investments or increase investments in that region, but understanding that it's a complex environment in which to navigate if you're there for the first time. So that's what we'll be helping doing. But in addition to that, we will also be helping to join elements of life sciences together that wouldn't normally occur. So that's why we also have not just those parts to which I've already spoken, NHS and academic and so on, but in addition to that, local government, the charities, all working together towards this end.
In what ways are you planning to achieve that?
So we've got really four main pillars. The first is that which you've just spoken, which is getting the brand known, helping navigate, becoming a front door and offering a concierge service to join to our many collaborators in that area. The other is getting a market understanding, so both helping the market understand what the offer is from Medcity, from the Golden Triangle to the rest of the world, and inversely have those people who are part of the Golden Triangle understand what the market demands are, and hopefully rather like the Channel Tunnel, those two ends will meet and facilitate greater work. And then finally, it's addressing a thing we call the entrepreneurial gap, and that is generating a cadre of new entrepreneurs, and indeed entrepreneurs who are not currently located in the Greater Southeast, in the Golden Triangle, to come back and work. And in order to facilitate that, to generate new investment capital, new risk capital, and increasing the awareness of the benefits of investment in life sciences and life sciences research and technologies, and bringing those two together to help bridge that entrepreneurial gap.
Now, London, of course, attracts a great share of investments, but it's also known as a place which is not very easy to navigate, not very easy to operate in. If for nothing else, because of its sheer size and turnover of employees as well. Is Medcity planning on helping companies navigate with that?
Yes, so that's part of the core reason for being, is to help with that navigation. Right. I somewhat invert your question and suggest that actually there's a richness of opportunity in London, but you've got to know how to find it, and that's also true if you then extend beyond London out to Oxford and Cambridge. everything you might need for a life sciences organization, life sciences research, new technologies exists in that region, and it's about being able to find that, access it, and that's part of what we're trying to help with.
Sure. How big is Medcity?
So Medcity itself is the company is a very small company. We work just a handful of people, but working through lots and lots of partnerships. So we find ourselves here today in the UK Pavilion at Bio, and part of that collaboration is working with UKTI, working with London Partners for foreign direct investment. We also work closely with partnering organisations such as the BIA and One Nucleus. So really our extent goes through these organisations very, very broadly. But at the heart of it, it's a small operation, because our intent is not to duplicate or replicate any efforts that are already ongoing across that area.
Where do I find physically Medcity? Where do I go? Do I go to London? Where's your...
Right, today, you go onto the Euston Road. We're co-located with the Crick in the Gibbs building, the Wellcome Trust building, and that is a temporary location for us, and we find something more permanent. But I think it's likely, I can't predict the future, but it's likely that's the sort of area we'll end up having our small office and a place to call home.
Now, the tech and startup sector in London managed to brand itself and build the image of its physical existence along the Silicon Roundabout.
Exactly.
Do you think, or are you planning on making something similar for Medcity?
We'll try and mimic that a little. Clearly, the needs for life sciences are a little bigger. So often you need wet lab space, you need growing on facilities, which are slightly different to that which are needed in tech. And so there are physical demands of life sciences research which are a little bit different. But certainly the idea of having a catalyzing hub is certainly something which we're enthusiastic about, and I think that Euston corridor stretching out, I guess, as far west as Oxford and as far northeast as Cambridge, with those rail connections and road connections, is an aspiration for us.
So we have Silicon Roundabout and now Euston Corridor.
I think that might be where we end up, yes.
That's a good name. Shall we trademark it?
You can if you wish.
We have it on the record.
Excellent.
Now, leaving branding efforts aside, if you look around us, you'll see a lot of investors and a lot of biotech professionals from emerging markets.
Yes.
Do you see them as your potential partners, or do you see them as potential competitors?
I think a little bit of both. Inevitably, one of the things we're trying to do is to make it clear to the emerging markets and players in life science in the emerging markets what opportunities there are in the Medcity constituency, but recognizing that they're also competing in the same way for investments, for the entrepreneurs, and for new technologies. And so I think some collaboration, some competition, and our job is to make sure that the world understands what an important place to come and do your life sciences activity, the Medcity, the Golden Triangle is.
Which markets would you point at as your potential partners in emerging markets?
I don't know whether you would call it, but South Korea in biotech, pharma, medtech is rapidly growing.
Right.
Clearly one can't ignore the emergence of China, although it's still got some maturation to go through, vast numbers of people, but some maturation to go through.
By maturation, what do you mean?
Well, advancing technologies in the life sciences space. There is still a little innovation gap, I think, in some of the emerging Chinese markets. That clearly we are aiming to fill through Medcity and all of our constituents. Not true of the South Koreans, who are very advanced, and clearly places like India, their manufacturing base has been running very, very rapidly, though of course their costs have gone up somewhat, and the the European legislation about non-European manufacturing has had probably a little bit of an impact on that as well.
Sure. And now for the final question, what are you planning on getting out of being here in San Diego? Just promoting the name, or are you actually physically looking for investors, partners?
I think the main job now, we're only 2 months old, we're recently born and probably just dragging ourselves up on the furniture for the first time, is really to get the name out, get some understanding of what Medcity is about. If we happen to be lucky enough to convert that into an opportunity for the economy, whether it's through investment or a new entrepreneur or a new technology, then clearly we'll seize that opportunity.
Mr. Forster, thank you so much for your time and best of luck in promoting Medcity.
Thank you very much. Nice to talk to you.